Yes, before I guys take a listen at what P2B said, because right now P2B came out and sold Nigeria, because before they've been complaining that P2B is demarketing Nigeria. So Obi have come out now to say some nice things about Nigeria. And like I said, with P2B, there's a hope for Nigerians in Nigeria. So but before that, someone said, Pat Otomi tweeted, he said, or someone said that Nigeria needs a leader like P2B, a businessman who understands both enterprise and regulation, a man capable of creating real wealth and shared prosperity for the Nigerian people. Pat Otomi. And we all know what is happening in Nigeria today, where we have Christian genocide, we have coup. All these things are happening because the government are not doing well. If the government are doing well, imagine where the North are planning coup for a government. In the North, where we know that that's where government have based, which should be benefiting and praising the government, but they are busy planning on how they will remove the government. That's to tell you how bad our government have gotten to. Because if they're doing well, there won't be any coup plot trying to remove the current government by the military. That means they are not doing something well. And ask yourself, why are they planning coup? It's because the government is not doing well. So we need leaders, like Pat Otomi said, that understands both enterprise and regulation. Though that understand that before you take a step, then we must think and know what should be done, so that this will yield fruit for those you are leading. Because in this video, P2B said everything he will do and why we Nigerians need to have hope. Since that's P2B, that is hope, Nigerians. This video is just for you to get hope that if this man should eventually win that election, that we Nigeria will have hope, that all our focus on today should be on how P2B should win that election and be on seats. Because more shege is coming. There's a plan or a plot, and that by January there will be a tax. All these things are affecting a common Nigeria that can barely feed. This is why we need to sit up in the next election, do all we need to do to make sure that P2B win this election. Just let's hear P2B out, and let me get your views in the comment section.
My commitment is to ensure that we bring a government that will redirect, empower, and govern Nigeria in the way governance is expected all over the world. And based on that, I've always said consistently that the more you pull people out of poverty, the more you reduce the criminality that is in the country. And I've always argued that they are doing what they are doing because they could see the poverty in the country. In a country where those people are in government, are richer than entrepreneurs, you manufacture poverty. As a governor, I served a state for 8 years. And you can go to that state and see not one day did I ever borrow from any financial institution in Nigeria. And that I was not in any position or have never been invited by anybody to question about their missing money. The day I left office, I wasn't owing any contractor that have delivered this project. I wasn't owing any supplier that have delivered. I was not owing pension, gratuity, salary, or anybody. And I can say that in 3 banks in Nigeria, Access Bank, Fidelity Bank, and Diamond Bank, I left in each $50 million, over 10 billion naira for the state. I've never borrowed. I've served faithfully, and I left their money. We must be able to chase out those who, where they've passed, nobody can account of what they were given. Well, as governor, everybody knew what we did in community leadership. We were able to, using what we can call modern communication, using telephone and everything, to provide for every community a vigilante system that was working, provided them with vehicles, communication equipment, linking them to work with police. And you can go and see it. We are the only government that had every community was provided with pickup manpower that were paid directly by government. When I left office by only one measure of development as at that time was Millennium Development Goals. By United Nations and Nigeria federal government, which is party I don't run by party I don't belong, I was number one. I was number one in education. I was number one in health. I won the Bill Gates Prize. Federal government of Nigeria gave me the award for having the best road network in Nigeria. So, but that is aside. So saving money was in addition of excellent performance. You can go and verify. But that notwithstanding, what we are here to do today, I said before, on the comment he made, do not vote for Peter Obi because I'm from the southeast, or because I'm an Igbo man, or because I'm a Christian, or because of any condition, or it's my turn. It's the turn of Nigerian youth and women. It is nobody's turn. I want you to vote for Peter Obi because I'm qualified, because I'm competent, and I know what I can do to put this country out of the brink. The office of the president and the office of the vice president is not the same. There's a commander-in-chief. The button stops at somebody's desk. As president and commander-in-chief, the decision and the buck stops on my desk. I will be responsible to Nigerians. Labour Party is in this election to win and serve Nigeria. Our voters were taking votes away from the traditional parties who have structures, which is structure of incompetence, structure of bad leadership, structure of criminality, looting of Nigeria, and bringing us to a level where we become a failed state. So we are saying to Nigerians, especially the younger ones, come, let's take back Nigeria and take it with people you can trust. Election, what we are selling is trust. Of all these candidates, who will you trust that can manage this country and your resources well? What is weird is that you have 6 million people with guns outside and you have less than that. That supports the need, one, for a complete review of your security architecture, starting with increasing the personnel. Police, to the best of my knowledge, is 320,000. For a country of 200 million, it's unacceptable. If you compare with Egypt, that's 100, they are 1 million. So let's increase that to at least 1 million. And then I support issue of local government, state, 3-level policing. Thereafter, the most important thing to stop and reduce that criminality is to start pulling those people out of poverty. The more you pull people out of poverty, the more you reduce criminality. Today, all over Nigeria, you have 35% unemployment. With your youth, who are in their productive age, we have 60% youth unemployment. Youth unemployment. You can't have that and you have crisis. That's where the guns are domiciled. So you replace that with jobs. Replace it with employment. Replace it with entrepreneurship. You invest in your micro, small businesses where these youths are domiciled by supporting them, pulling them out of poverty. I've advocated that the goal of Nigeria in terms of physical access is your cultivated land in the north. We can't have that huge land and we have the level of poverty that we experience in the north. And I've given examples with so many countries of the world where things have worked differently. Niger State have 8 local governments, or about 7 or 8 local governments that is occupied by bandits. And they are living on 76.3 thousand square kilometers of land. It's unacceptable. Arable land that is fertile. When Netherlands, if you minus water, it's 33,000. And if you go there, their last year export of food was over 100 billion euros, which as at that time was about $120 billion. If Niger State can do just 2% of that, for the land space they have, 2.5 times their land, they will earn about $2.4 billion. Imagine what Niger State will be. Those local governments will not be taken over by bandits. Fact checkers, I hope you are checking.
Yeah, we are just going to start with Mr. Peter Obi, who has just challenged us. Yeah, so his last claim, factual claim, was that the Egypt police force population is more than 1 million.
About a million.
You're actually correct.
Okay.
You are correct. So according to official sources, that's correct. Yeah, more than 1 million. Mr. Peter Obi claimed that he was awarded the best governor in Nigeria in the health sector.
With MDG. I didn't say MDG.
No, that's you actually didn't say MDG. Yeah.
But MDG.
Okay, sorry. By Bill and Melinda Gates.
I said,
Please let's allow the fact checker to do its work.
Reports we have show that
Thereafter, the candidates will have an opportunity to respond.
On July 30, Mr. Obi was awarded the best performing governor on the eradication of polio in the southeast geopolitical region by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And the award was presented by then Minister of State for Health, Mohamed Pathé, with a cash prize of 120 million naira. So that's what we actually got immediately. Yeah, thank you. Mr. Peter Obi claimed that he was the first impeached governor to be reinstated by the judiciary.
no, I said second. I said the second. I was yeah.
You actually said first at the time. No, when he was speaking, he was actually said first.
I said second.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. If you said second, you are correct. After Rashidi Ladoja.
I said it, yeah.
That's what our team actually recorded was first. So if you say second, that's correct, sir. Yeah, thank you. Correct. I've said it loud.
I said that police force is about 320,000. I went to the present IG of police and told him that the police force is 370, and he said to me 370,000, and he said to me, so I want you to quote him. He said to me, no, it's about 320. I'm quoting him before you fact check. You haven't reached there. For the other things I've said, what I said is that I was first to come through the court, second to come back for impeachment, then to redefine the election segments, and was able to correct the tenure of governor, that is me. So I was first, second, first. And I assure you that if you aggressively, as I intend to do, cost waste and cost of governance, because there's a lot of waste in governance that you can cut. By the time you deal with it, then you do the right things. By the time you're able to tackle all loopholes of revenue leakages, including the oil theft, you're back to where you have a balanced budget. However, if there's need to borrow, I'm not against borrowing, I've always advocated it. You borrow for production. It's allowed. There's every country of the world is owing, but you borrow, even those we're using, for example, like Singapore, everybody calls, is 120% of their GDP is in debt. So you borrow for production. If we borrow for production, then we would have been better off today, even servicing our debt. So I will do whatever it takes to ensure that we bring a balanced budget and strictly borrow for production, which will grow the economy and be able to pull people out of poverty. And I've maintained consistently, if you want to deal with corruption index measurement, which is a critical thing in Nigeria, is failing every day, you have to look at the candidates, the character, the integrity, the competence, everything about the candidate, and ask yourself a question. All of us are coming from somewhere. Where we passed, can we go there and verify? Somebody has been governor of a state. Let's start by appointment. How many of his relations was given appointment? Go to Anambra State. Nobody from my town was a commissioner. Nobody from my town was chief of staff, anybody. Go and check it in Anambra State. Go and check. There's no piece of land allocated directly or indirectly to me or any of my siblings. Go and check whether any of their money is missing. I've challenged those agencies, go and check Anambra State money. If it's missing, hold me responsible. So that's where you start. So we are not going to go into, if a man says, I'm going to do this, like they said, if you can manage a penny, we will give you a naira to manage. So let's check the past. People who are saying that this and that, how was their part? I've passed through parts where shared corporations and everything, go to there and see if any of them, there's a place where they will say, Peter, we did this or that. Even in banking, I never lent money to any of company I was involved. You must borrow money from somewhere else. And above all, I've borrowed money locally and internationally. I can say today that by the time I left England, I have the highest credit rating any English person can have. Based on that business today, I'm still being invited. So personally, I do not get involved in that. And I have a vice who I believe is that tries on the same thing. Both of us will fight corruption because it's critical, and we'll fight it head on, where we'll bring it to a minimal, if not entirely eliminate it. Because it starts from you. If you're not stealing, your family is not stealing, those around you, you can control them, you put it in check. So I'm saying to you, we will go in there and manage the resources of the state. We've done it somewhere, and we want to do it at the center. If you look at the first issue, which you mentioned, issue of solving the structural problem, it has to deal with the issue of whatever everybody says, issue of diversification of the economy. Let me put it on record. The Nigerian economy is well diversified. Oil, as the measure, contributes less than 10% of our GDP. But the problem is that it contributes about 50% of government revenue and about 80% of our foreign exchange earning. Our biggest contributor to our GDP today is agriculture. If you look at our about 180 trillion economy, agriculture contributes about 4 to 1 trillion, which is about 20-something% of that economy. So it is not, it's very diversified. Our trading is contributing over 15%. ICT is contributing over that. So what you need to do, the reason why we are not getting enough or it's not working is that as diversified as they are not productive. You need to increase the level of production. That is the problem. That's what I was talking about agriculture. You can have almost 60% of the arable land uncultivated, and you still, if you're able to invest on the other areas, your manufacturing today is about 9%, it should be about 15%. If you're able to invest in the land, invest in this, and they're able to contribute to export goods. Just imagine if you can feed yourself. We are 220 million. Imagine if you take 1,000 and you can feed yourself. You can move at an average of 1,000 a day. By 1 year, you would triple, you would at least get your contribution of agriculture to about 80 trillion. And that will change the dynamic. So it's a question of how do you ramp up your production? We want to move the country from consumption to production. It is critical when you do it. In terms of how many women serving in government, I keep saying you have to go to and check example. We have assured that women and youth will be the engine of our government. And that I have shown an example of how many women who have worked with me as governor. You go and check from deputy governor, chief of staff, commissioner for finance, commissioner for education, commissioner for local government. I can go on and on, are all women. So that is given. How many women that serve in government? Issue of being commander-in-chief without having a military experience. Well, if you have checked up the known presidents that I've known all over the world, including the present Prime Minister of Britain, he doesn't have military experience. You just have to deal with the right people who have that experience, hire them, And if your commander-in-chief you have the political will to do the right thing, that's it. Colonel will hire you. I will make sure you do the right thing. In terms of oil theft, I've said it openly, and what I'll do everywhere. Devolution of powers to ensure resource control. I have said consistently, I'll move Nigeria from sharing formula to production formula. And I'll show it, because there's so many countries, there's so many states here that cannot continue going the way they're going. Today, we have a problem in Borno State. Borno State is 70.9 thousand square kilometers of land. That is more than Belgium, Israel put together. Yet, go and check their production in agriculture. Go and check what is happening in Borno State. There's so many things you can do with Nigeria, the vast land in the north. So, devolution of power and resource control, we will deal with, and we'll deal with it aggressively and ensure. I'm not happy with what is happening in Niger Delta. It's unacceptable. Look at what they're going through. We've exploited their oil over the years. We need to fix it. The remaining resources that are used to fix Niger Delta, while producing resources all over Nigeria. And every part of Nigeria can be a huge resource production center. And that's what Labour intends to do. How do we tackle the issue of IPOB, Boko Haram, on all agitations? I've said repeatedly, I will dialogue with every agitator. There's nothing wrong in agitation. I will consult. Governance in democracy is about consensus. I will consult, I will dialogue, I will meet everybody. Dialogue is normal. Agitation is normal. So we will deal with everybody. We will make sure we sit down and talk and resolve issues amicably. Issue of power. Issue of power is one that we intend to tackle aggressively. First is that today, Nigeria have installed capacity today of 12,000 plus. And that, even if you produce, it cannot be wheeled, because your transmission line can only take about 6,000. And that is a problem. And your distribution infrastructure is also weak. First is to upgrade and ensure that I deal aggressively with the transmission and distribution infrastructure to be able to take what we can produce immediately, which is about 12,000. On that, top of that, is to deal with issue of ensuring that those who are in generation today are supported by making sure they get dedicated gas supply with policies that are consistent, and then start dealing with new ones that will come in, including bringing in embedded captive power, anything you can do to ensure renewable energy, to ensure that you ramp up that as quickly as possible. It can be done. We have over 100 million Nigerians without electricity. According to World Bank, it's 90 million, but for me, it's over 100 million. That is unacceptable. So you have to declare war on power. If South Africa with over 50,000 megawatts can declare emergency, we will declare war here in power. In terms of flood control is the simple. I don't know how to describe it. The reason why we have the flood situation we have today, and I thank so many governors who are intervening, including Governor Okowa, and what they are doing to manage the situation. But it's something Nigeria can manage and reduce the devastating effect by just dredging. And the silt in all these are rivers. River Niger and River Benue. By working on them, by channeling things properly, by doing dams and everything. If Nile in Egypt can maintain today the Nile and it's functional, where they say no Nile, no Egypt, and Nile is 6,650 kilometers long. Nigeria as a country can deal with Niger, River Niger, that is only 4,184 kilometers long. With River Benue that is 1,004. If you bring two of them together, they are still about 1,000 short of Nile. and yet Egypt can deal with it. We can deal with this too. And contracts over the years have been awarded, but people have mismanaged it. And we will deal with it. I assure you that this situation cannot arise. Even now that is the situation, I will stop everything and go and stay there. When I look at what Bayelsa is going through today, I will be living in Bayelsa as commander-in-chief with them, showing empathy, showing everything with them to show that it is a country. On issue of, I think, with all this, for me, it is a question of how do we continue to ensure that our economy is productive. And I've shown that this economy can be productive. I'm a wealth creator. And what this country needs is people who can create wealth. People who have created wealth can manage it more efficiently than allowing the country to be managed by those who have never created anything.
Till tomorrow, I'll continue saying how Nigeria have lost a genuine leader in the last election. Because we lost it due to our greediness, our selfishness, because the same election, we all knew that some people still went ahead to steal ballot box because they were giving 1,000 naira. They did a protest of end bad governance. Some people collected 1,000 naira to do an anti-protest. Like I said, we Nigerians, when we learn to wake up and do the right thing, then we can be talking about a better Nigeria. We can't be talking of a better Nigeria today, where some people are still eager to collect bribery from the same government that have put them in the place of hunger. We can't be talking about a better Nigeria where some people are still supporting APC because they were paid to do so. Is where hunger have gone to the extent where people don't have any choice again than to buy for the right thing. That's only where we can take back our country, because right now, next election is coming and people are still supporting P2B, are supporting Tinubu and Atiku. That's their own opinion, but it's because they've not gotten to the extent where we can say, no, this is the one person that we all Nigerians want. We want this person because this person have all it takes to make Nigeria a better place. Because right now, among all the candidates we have in Nigeria, only P2B have proven to be the one that has all that Nigerians need. Ask yourself, how many of our leaders are competent enough? How many are truthful? How many are truthful? This word truthfulness is very, very crucial in when choosing a leader. Because in the same government of APC government, they are denying that there is no Christian genocide happening in the north, where we know that many churches, many worshippers are being fired by terrorists, and then they say that there is no Christian genocide in Nigeria. That is a lie. And now a coup happened, and guess what? The military came out and lied and said that there is no coup happening because they arrested some people that they allegedly said that they want to carry out the coup. But the military came out and denied it and said that it's a lie, that they arrested those that failed exam. How can they arrest those that failed exam? This level where our government lies mercilessly. That they arrested those that failed the exam. That's nothing like coup happening. And Tinubu, trust Tinubu now. Tinubu don't joke with his power. Tinubu removed all the CDAs, all the chief officers, all the chief defense staff, removed and replaced them because he does not want anything that will be a threat to his government. We do, and this is where I like Tinubu. Tinubu don't take any chances. Anything that looks like is going to jeopardize his leadership, he remove it. Because he wants to remain in power even come the next 4 years, because Tinubu is trying everything possible to remain on seat come 2027. And right now, we as Nigerians need to do something as Nigerians. If only we can vote and let's stay there for our vote to count. That is the number one step, because it's as if we tried in the last election. That's why P2B had the number he had, but along the line we give up. But let me get to it in the comment section about the video version. Let me know what you think about it. I'll see you guys in my next video.